Chosen one, listen carefully. Heaven has paused for this moment. The noise of the world fades. The chaos of your mind grows still, because this message has been written into your story since the beginning. You did not find this by accident. Heaven sent it straight to your spirit. There is a stirring inside you right now because your soul recognizes divine timing. December 15 is not just another date. It is a spiritual appointment. It is the day heaven will smile at your obedience. You have walked through seasons when obedience felt invisible, when your prayers echoed back in silence, when your faith cost you friends, when your yes to God led you into lonely places. You questioned if heaven even noticed, but heaven was watching the whole time. Every hidden act of faith, every private tear of surrender, every quiet step of trust was seen. While the world overlooked you, heaven recorded you. You thought obedience was about following rules, but obedience is the purest language of love. It is heaven's signal that your heart belongs fully to God. It is what opens divine doors that talent, status, or strength never could. You did not realize it, but your obedience has been creating waves in the unseen realm. Angels have been dispatched on your behalf because of it. Favor has been gathering in silence, waiting for the moment appointed to be revealed, and that moment is drawing near. It was proclaimed in the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. That peace, the one heaven gives, is born from obedience. The world offers a false calm that depends on comfort, but divine peace anchors your soul through storms. Every time you obeyed, even when afraid, you planted a seed of peace. Every time you chose patience over panic, heaven smiled. Every time you forgave instead of fought, heaven recorded it as victory. The Father has been silent, not because he forgot you, but because he was watching your obedience mature. The waiting was never punishment, it was preparation. You had to grow strong enough to carry the weight of his next blessing. What is coming requires roots deep enough not to be shaken. And now, heaven has deemed you ready. December 15 is not random, it is prophetic. Heaven's calendar carries your name beside that date. On that day, something unseen will shift. God's smile is not a symbol, it is a release of favor, restoration, and recognition. The very areas where you obeyed in darkness will be flooded with light. The prayers that seemed unanswered will start unfolding in divine order. The silence will make sense. The enemy has tried to make you weary, whispering that your obedience was wasted. But hear this clearly, no act of obedience is ever lost. The sound of your yes still echoes in the throne room. Every time you surrendered, you built an altar of remembrance. And God never forgets the altars built by faith. Chosen one, do not let the world's noise distract you now. The closer you get to breakthrough, the louder the distractions will become. Keep your eyes fixed on heaven. Guard your peace. Stay in alignment. You are standing on sacred ground, the threshold between preparation and promise. This message is not meant to flatter you, but to awaken you. Heaven has paused because your obedience has reached maturity. The weight you feel right now is not heaviness, it's divine confirmation. Something in your spirit already knows this is true. God has chosen to honor you, not because of performance, but because of persistence. The smile of God is near. Take this moment seriously. Let it sink deep into your spirit. Heaven has scheduled a day to reward your obedience. and that day is almost here. If this word speaks to your spirit, act in faith right now. Like, share, and subscribe so that others chosen by heaven can be reached by this same message. And as a prophetic sign of agreement, comment 1215 below. Let heaven see your number and know you are ready for the day when God smiles at your obedience. When heaven smiles, creation responds. The winds of favor begin to move. Doors once locked swing open, and what resisted you must release you. This smile is not symbolic, it's spiritual proof that your obedience has touched eternity. You are stepping into a season where peace will be visible. The confusion that tried to drown you will lose its voice, and clarity will reign. Heaven's light will mark your path, guiding every step with divine precision. December 15 is your threshold moment. The unseen will become seen. The delayed will manifest, and the hidden reward of obedience will finally speak. Heaven has already decided your faith has passed the test. So, stand tall. Chosen one, lift your eyes toward heaven and whisper, I am ready. For when God smiles, nothing remains the same. Prepare your heart, align your spirit, and expect the miracle attached to your obedience. Chosen one, you were never meant to blend in. The mark of heaven has been on you since the beginning. Though you did not always understand why your path felt different, others could wander freely, but you felt a divine pull whenever you drifted too far. You tried to walk with the crowd, but something in you refused to settle. That was not rebellion, it was revelation. Your spirit knew you were set apart. From childhood, the pattern of separation has followed you. You could not explain why certain doors closed or why specific relationships never lasted. You thought it was rejection, but it was redirection. Heaven was filtering your life, shaping your environment so that your calling would not be contaminated. Every disappointment was divine protection. You were being molded for something sacred, something not everyone could understand. There were moments you questioned your worth, wondering if being different meant being less. But the truth is the opposite. The anointing on your life required isolation. You were never ordinary because the ordinary could not hold what God placed within you. There is a weight of destiny that demands solitude before it brings recognition. That is why you often felt misunderstood. The world sees through surface eyes, but heaven sees through purpose. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 21. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. This question echoes through time, calling you now. You can no longer waver between fear and faith, between comfort and calling. You are chosen, and the chosen cannot live like the common. The command to follow him fully means letting go of half-hearted obedience. You cannot walk in divine power while entertaining worldly distractions. Heaven has demanded your full allegiance because your destiny is too critical to risk dilution. You have felt this inner tension, the war between the call and the comfort zone. That unease is not punishment, it is invitation. God is summoning you higher, into a realm where obedience becomes instinct, not effort. When you are chosen, conviction becomes your compass. You feel it when you drift. You sense it when you compromise. It's heaven reminding you that you are not like the rest. Every chosen soul must walk the path of separation before elevation. Look at Joseph, exiled from his family. Look at David, anointed in obscurity. Look at Esther, hidden until the appointed time. Their difference was their destiny. Your difference is yours. It is not a flaw, it is the fingerprint of divine intention. You may have noticed that every time you tried to settle, something disrupted your peace. That's because heaven won't let you get comfortable in places not assigned to you. The spirit within you will stir until you move into alignment. The longer you resist, the heavier the discontent becomes. That's the mercy of God, refusing to let you waste your anointing on comfort. You are called to carry light into dark systems, to speak truth where silence has ruled. You were designed to shift atmospheres with your presence. This is why your energy feels different. You carry heaven's fragrance even when you don't realize it. And those walking in darkness can sense it. They either draw near for light or retreat in discomfort. Do not let their reactions confuse you. It's proof of your anointing. There will be moments when obedience isolates you further. The closer you get to purpose, the fewer voices you'll be able to carry with you. God will begin pruning your circle, removing those who cannot handle your growth. Don't mourn the loss, celebrate the refinement. For every subtraction, there is a greater addition being prepared. The chosen path is narrow, but it leads to glory. You will not always see immediate rewards, but the unseen realm keeps perfect record. The heavens are not silent, they are strategic. Every delay is divine choreography. While you wait, you are being fortified. While you obey, you are being positioned. Heaven's promises are never late. They arrive at the maturity of your obedience. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are being refined. The pain, the confusion, the loneliness, all of it is part of the process that separates those who are called from those who are merely curious. You have endured much, and heaven has witnessed every tear. But the day will come when what was hidden will be revealed, and your uniqueness will be celebrated as divine evidence. You are different because you are destined. You are called because you are trusted. You are walking through this season because God is building something eternal in you. And though you cannot yet see it, December 15 is already written as the day the difference finally makes sense. The world will see what heaven has always known: you were never ordinary. And obedience was the key all along. Chosen one. The hardest part of your journey has never been obedience. It has been the waiting, the quiet between promise and fulfillment, the silence between your prayer and God's reply. Waiting tests what obedience began. It stretches your faith until only trust remains. Heaven often hides its loudest work behind the quietest seasons. And though it feels like nothing is happening, the unseen world has been shifting around your name. You have asked, God, when so many times you have looked at others rising while you stayed still, wondering if you missed your moment. But the truth is, God never wastes waiting. Every delay is a seed of preparation. Every unanswered prayer has been forming something within you: patience, endurance, depth, and discernment. These are not small things. They are the very tools that qualify you for the promise ahead, according to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. That is the command that guards you during waiting. You do not need to understand. You only need to remain. Trust is greater than answers. Trust keeps you still when nothing seems fair. Trust keeps your eyes on heaven when the world tells you to quit. And the moment you learn to trust without conditions, Heaven begins to move without resistance. You are not forgotten in this season. You are being framed for fulfillment. Like a sculptor, God has been chiseling everything that does not belong. Each unanswered question has carved humility into your heart. Each silent night has deepened your faith. You have been asking for a crown, but God was shaping your shoulders to carry it. The waiting season is not wasted, it's sacred training. You might not see it, but heaven keeps exact time. Every second of your pain, every moment of patience is being counted. The divine clock never fails. When the appointed time arrives, everything will make sense all at once. But until then, your waiting is worship. The sighs you release in prayer are melodies in heaven's ear. The tears you cry in surrender are seeds in God's garden. Do not mistake stillness for stagnation. There are roots growing underground while the surface seems quiet. The tree that takes the longest to grow bears the strongest fruit. Your roots are stretching deep, anchoring your destiny. You are becoming unshakable, immovable, steadfast. And when the wind comes, you will not fall, you will flourish. There are days when the silence feels cruel. You hear no answer, feel no sign, and the temptation to stop believing grows louder. But this is the part of your story that will become your testimony. For when heaven finally moves, it will not be small. The long silence is a prophecy that your breakthrough will thunder. Chosen one, understand this: waiting refines obedience. Anyone can obey when rewards come quickly. But true obedience holds its ground even when nothing seems to happen. You have held on through seasons that would have broken others. That is proof of divine strength within you. You have endured spiritual pressure, and heaven has been recording your endurance as worship. Even now, angels are preparing the fulfillment of what was promised. What you have been praying for has not been denied, it has been preserved. God's not yet is still a yes waiting for the right time. And the right time is closer than you think. Do not let impatience steal what obedience has built. The promise will arrive at the appointed hour, and when it does, it will not just bless you, it will vindicate you. Every delay will turn into testimony. Every not yet will transform into now. The long nights will be remembered in the light of answered prayer. You have learned to stand in the dark. Soon you will dance in the dawn. The weight you carried will become the wings you soar with. The silence you endured will become the story that strengthens others. And when you finally see what God was building, you will understand why He made you wait. Right now, take a breath and declare with faith in the comments, "Still I wait." Write it not as complaint, but as covenant. It means, I trust Him even here. I believe even now. Every time you type those words, heaven sees endurance turning into worship, and the God who watches in secret is preparing to reward you in the open. When you write "Still I wait," you are declaring that faith has outlived frustration. It is your way of telling heaven, I trust your timing more than my timeline. Those 3 words become a banner over your life, evidence that patience has turned into prophecy. Each letter carries spiritual weight. "Still I wait" is not weakness, it is worship. It tells the unseen world that your obedience remains unbroken, your hope remains anchored, and your heart remains faithful. Heaven responds to that kind of endurance, rewarding what the world calls delay with divine acceleration. Chosen one, obedience is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like silence, stillness, and quiet surrender when everything in you wants to move. It is easy to obey when obedience rewards quickly. But true obedience is forged in the furnace of contradiction. When everything in your circumstance screams, "Stop," yet something in your spirit whispers, "Continue." That is where heaven finds pure devotion. You have learned, through many tears, that obedience often feels like loss before it looks like victory. There were moments when you gave what you could not afford to lose: your time, your heart, your plans, and nothing came back. You kept giving, kept trusting, kept believing, even when it hurt. What you didn't realize was that every act of obedience was dismantling invisible chains, not only in your life but in the generations tied to your name. Heaven measures differently than earth. The world looks at what you gained. Heaven looks at what you released. Every time you chose God's will over your own, you broke patterns that enslaved your bloodline. Every moment you obeyed instead of arguing, you rewrote the spiritual script of your family. Your obedience has been setting captives free, those before you and those who will come after. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Romans, chapter 6, verse 16, "You are slaves to the one you obey, whether you are slaves to sin, which leads to death, or to obedience, which leads to righteousness." You see, obedience is not just action, it is alignment. It determines the master of your life. When you obey fear, fear grows stronger. When you obey doubt, doubt deepens. But when you obey God, righteousness rises. Each act of obedience strengthens the divine authority within you. You stop living by emotion and start living by revelation. That is why your spirit feels lighter after every step of surrender. You are walking freer than before. Some of the battles you faced were never about you. They were about breaking cycles. You stood in places where generations before you fell. Addiction, anger, compromise, confusion all tried to repeat their patterns through you, but your obedience interrupted them. You became the one who said, "It ends with me." Heaven heard that declaration, and the spiritual chains that once bound your lineage began to crumble. This is why the warfare around your obedience was so fierce. The enemy was not attacking your comfort, he was attacking your assignment. He knows that a single act of obedience from a chosen vessel can shift generations. You may have felt weak in the battle, but you were never losing. Even when it looked like defeat, your obedience was winning. Because obedience is victory in its purest form, it declares, "God, even if I don't understand, I still trust you." There is power in those quiet victories that no one sees. The nights when you resisted temptation, the days when you forgave without apology, the moments when you kept walking, though weary, all of them were spiritual detonations in the unseen realm. Hell lost territory every time you chose obedience over reaction. The light within you grew brighter each time you chose peace over pride. You may not have realized it, but your obedience has been preaching louder than your words. People have been watching you, silently wondering why you haven't quit yet. Your endurance has become their evidence that God is real. You are teaching others, without a sermon, that faith still works, that even when nothing makes sense, obedience makes way. Sometimes God doesn't reward obedience with immediate blessing. Sometimes He rewards it with strength, clarity, and character. Those are invisible crowns, the kind that only eternity will fully reveal. But make no mistake, no act of obedience goes unnoticed. Heaven keeps perfect record. What feels buried is only planted, and what is planted must eventually rise. The time will come when all your unseen obedience blooms in visible glory. The sacrifices you made in silence will speak loudly in the open. You will see fruit in places that once felt barren, and when that day arrives, you will not boast, you will weep, not from sadness, but from understanding. You will finally see how God turned every painful yes into a bridge of redemption. Chosen one, your obedience has broken chains that others were too afraid to touch. You have shifted atmospheres without realizing it. You have changed futures by simply trusting. Heaven honors that. The light of your obedience is rewriting stories, reviving hope, and revealing God's power. You are not only walking in freedom, you are carrying it for others. So keep walking, keep obeying, even when you don't see the result. Every time you say yes to God, darkness loses its claim. You are the proof that obedience is stronger than oppression, and that faith, though costly, never fails. Your obedience is a sound heaven cannot ignore. It vibrates through eternity, shaking what needs to fall and awakening what must rise. Even now, unseen miracles are aligning themselves to your faith, preparing to manifest in due season as heaven smiles over your unwavering trust. Chosen one, heaven has been watching. There is a moment, sacred and quiet, when the divine records of your life are opened. The pages shimmer with the ink of obedience, written by the hands of unseen angels. Each act of surrender, each yes whispered through tears, is captured as eternal testimony. You may not have known it, but heaven has been documenting your faith. Every time you obeyed when it made no sense, a new line of light appeared beside your name. It is written that obedience builds an altar in heaven. Upon that altar rests your sacrifices, your patience, your forgiveness, your endurance, your trust. Nothing placed there is ever forgotten. What you call forgotten moments, heaven calls foundation stones. And now, the ledger of your life begins to glow. December 15 is the day heaven reads aloud what has been written in silence. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 56, verse 8, you keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle and recorded each one in your book. Yes, your tears are sacred ink. Every sigh, every wordless ache, every time you chose faith instead of fear, it was recorded. Heaven does not miss a single detail. When you walk through fire and refuse to curse God, heaven writes it down. When you give love despite rejection, heaven notes the fragrance of your sacrifice. Nothing you have done in faith has been wasted. You may wonder, why does heaven record such things? Because obedience is a language that never dies. Words fade. Applause disappears. But obedience echoes through eternity. It tells heaven who you belong to. It marks you as one whose loyalty cannot be bought by comfort or fear. You have been living a divine story of faith, and heaven keeps it close like a cherished letter. There will come a moment sooner than you think when those records are opened before the throne, not as judgment, but as recognition. Heaven does not only count sins, it celebrates obedience. Angels will stand as witnesses, testifying to the times you refused to give up. The pages will glow with the beauty of every unseen act of faith. And then the Father will smile, not because you were perfect, but because you remained faithful. You are part of heaven's unfolding story, written not with ink, but with endurance. The words written about you are not words of pity, but of power. They stood, the records say. They trusted. They obeyed. These are the lines that define you in eternity's scroll. The world may never fully understand your sacrifices, but heaven does. The applause of men is temporary. The recognition of heaven is everlasting. So, when you feel unseen, remember this truth. Heaven has not only seen you have been celebrated. The quiet obedience of your life is a melody that angels hum. There is something poetic in how heaven remembers. The ledger of your life is not just numbers and deeds, it's emotion, spirit, devotion. Heaven writes with tenderness. It preserves every moment you surrendered with trembling hands. It honors every second you believed in what you could not see. And now, as this record of your faith is read in the courts of eternity, a gentle stirring moves across heaven's throne room. The time for hiddenness is closing. Recognition approaches, not the shallow recognition of men, but the holy acknowledgement of God Himself. Chosen one, you have lived your story with courage. Heaven has seen, written, and sealed it. And soon, the same heaven that recorded your pain will reward your obedience. Every note, every tear, every moment is leading to this December 15, the day when your life becomes a divine testimony. Now, as you hear these words, let your spirit decide how to respond. You don't need a command, you need a connection. If your heart feels the pull of heaven, if something within you whispers, "This is my moment," then let your spirit move. Imagine this not as an instruction, but as a gesture, a hand extended toward light. A quiet agreement with heaven's rhythm. When you feel that warmth in your chest, that small spark of yes, let it become motion. Let your agreement flow, naturally press the heart. Share the message. Subscribe not to a channel, but to the calling of your own soul. Do it not because you are told to, but because something inside you says, "I want to carry this light forward." Let your like be a candle you place upon the altar of faith. Your share a dove carrying hope into another soul's sky. Your subscription a key that keeps you close to heaven's whisper. Because this is what heaven truly honors, not forced action, but willing alignment. And when you move with the Spirit's prompting, even the smallest gesture becomes worship. You are not just hearing a message, you are participating in prophecy. The story of your obedience is still being written, and every act of faith, every motion of agreement, adds another line of light to your name in heaven's book. Chosen one. Heaven has been whispering in symbols, divine languages that do not speak in words, but in patterns, moments, and signs. You have seen them, the sudden repetition of a certain number, a flicker of light at the right time, a quiet stirring in your spirit. Heaven does not speak twice without purpose. When God repeats something, it becomes a decree. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 29, verse 11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." This is heaven's reminder. The plan has always been in motion. What you called delay was actually design. What you thought was silence was strategy. Every unanswered question, every painful pause, has been building a path toward the day when heaven smiles at your obedience. And now, a new number rises before you, a divine signature not seen before, carrying a fresh meaning for this appointed season, 944. 9 speaks of birthing, something long carried in secret, now ready to come forth. 4 represents foundation stability, completion, and the solid ground upon which God establishes His promise. But when the number repeats 944, heaven doubles the foundation, making sure that what is birthed will never crumble. It is a symbol of divine permanence, of blessings that will not fade when the season changes. You have labored in faith, and now the spiritual womb of your obedience begins to open. This is not the moment to fear. This is the moment to breathe. You are about to give birth to what your faith has been nurturing all along. Heaven has watched you through contractions of the soul, through nights when your strength broke and your tears fell like rivers. Yet you never abandoned the process. You stayed, believing, trusting, obeying, and that faith has brought you here. 944 marks the moment when promise becomes visible. It is heaven's way of saying, now, what I began in you will stand on its own feet. You are not just stepping into blessing, you are stepping into legacy. This number carries the weight of generations. It declares that what God is building through you will remain after you. Look around you now. Doors that once resisted, you will begin to unlock without struggle. The atmosphere will shift. Peace will enter the very places where fear once reigned. You will begin to see signs of arrival, answers appearing quietly, confirmations finding you without effort. The heavens are opening because your obedience has matured. Chosen one. You must understand, heaven rewards not speed, but steadfastness. Your endurance has been counted as worship. You stood through spiritual storms and kept saying, yes, Lord. That yes is the reason heaven writes your number now 944 as a seal over your life. It is heaven's way of saying, I have built this one to last. Type 944 inches, the comments not as routine, but as revelation. It is your act of prophetic acknowledgement, your way of agreeing with the divine architecture shaping your future. When you write it, you are saying, God, I see your pattern. I trust your foundation. I receive what is being born. This simple number becomes your covenant. It links your faith to heaven's timing. Angels respond to alignment. And when you declare 944, you mark yourself as one who stands ready to receive what is finished in heaven but about to manifest on earth. Even now, you can feel the quiet trembling of breakthrough. That's not anxiety, it's the vibration of birth. What you prayed for is breathing. What you believed for is forming. What you obeyed for is about to appear. The foundations are laid. The season is ripe. And heaven's smile is near. Your faith has reached full term. Type 944. Let heaven see that you are ready to hold what you once only hoped for. When you write 944, you are not typing random digits. You are responding to a divine signal. That number is heaven's code for establishment, meaning what God builds through you will no longer be shaken. It declares that your waiting has produced roots deep enough to carry glory without breaking. Each number holds weight in the unseen realm. 944 is not a charm. It is a confession of faith. It says, I believe what heaven has spoken. I trust what God is constructing beneath the surface. When you write it, your spirit joins heaven's blueprint. It's your way of laying the final stone on the foundation God has been building inside you. This act is not about superstition, it is about participation. You are stepping into alignment, allowing your action to match your revelation. 944 becomes your Amen, your seal of agreement. It is heaven's reminder that what began in faith will not end in failure, and what was delayed will now be delivered in full strength. So, type 944 with intention. Let each digit echo like a prayer. 9 for birth. 4 for stability. 4 for permanence. You are declaring, I am ready for what heaven has finished. Heaven hears that faith and moves accordingly. Chosen one. There is something sacred in the moment when God smiles. It is not a gesture of casual approval, it is the radiant signal that heaven has been satisfied by your obedience. The smile of God is not made of emotion, but of essence. It carries light, warmth, and the authority to change everything it touches. When God smiles, creation bends to His will. Time rearranges itself, and the atmosphere shifts from striving to peace. You may not have seen it, but heaven has been smiling over your quiet victories. The days when you walked in faith despite fear, when you prayed through disappointment, when you forgave without reason, those were the moments that drew heaven's delight. The Father does not smile at perfection, He smiles at persistence. He rejoices not in the strength of your performance, but in the posture of your heart. When God smiles, His favor begins to flow like sunlight through shadow. What once looked barren begins to bloom. The same places that felt like prisons become gardens of revelation. This is what happens when divine joy meets human obedience. The impossible starts to obey you because you have learned to obey Him. It was proclaimed in the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verse 25. The Lord make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. This is more than a blessing, it is a transformation. When His face shines upon you, His light begins to rewrite your story. You start to see what He sees, to love what He loves. The weight that once pressed you down becomes the foundation that holds you steady. His smile does not merely visit, it dwells. It becomes the atmosphere in which you live. Chosen one. Think back to the seasons when you felt unseen. You wondered if your prayers were wasted, if your tears were ignored. But even in silence, heaven was leaning close. God was not frowning. He was watching the strength of your faith take root. Like an artist who studies every detail before revealing the masterpiece, He waited for the moment when your heart could carry His light without breaking under it. That moment is here. The smile of God brings recognition in realms you do not see. Angels respond differently to those who carry His delight. Your presence begins to shift rooms, not because of charisma, but because of the spiritual fragrance you release. Where others carry noise, you carry peace. Where others bring pressure, you bring presence. You are becoming a vessel of grace, an embodiment of divine pleasure on earth. This is why the enemy tried so hard to weary you. He cannot curse what God has blessed, but he can distract what heaven delights in. His goal was to make you forget that you were already favored, but you did not break. You endured, and that endurance has birthed new authority. Now the same storms that once threatened to drown you must bow before your peace. When heaven smiles, alignment happens naturally. Relationships that no longer match your calling will fade gently, while those designed for your destiny will find their way to you. Resources, connections, and opportunities begin to locate you with ease, not because you chase them, but because favor recognizes you. You do not have to force open doors anymore. The King's smile is the key. His smile does not mean life becomes easy, it means life becomes purposeful. Even challenges begin to work for your glory. The things that used to trigger anxiety will now produce wisdom. The places that once felt like endings will now reveal hidden beginnings. This is the divine exchange when you pleased heaven. Heaven began to shift everything for your good. Chosen one. Let that truth sink deep. You are not fighting for God's approval, you are living from it. You are no longer trying to earn the smile, you are reflecting it. The light of His favor now radiates through your words, your steps, your presence. It softens your environment and heals the hearts around you. There will come a day when people look at you and cannot explain why peace follows you. They will not understand that what they feel is heaven smiling through your life. That smile will draw the weary, comfort the broken, and awaken faith in those who had forgotten how to believe. You will become the reminder that obedience does not end in emptiness, it ends in delight. And when December 15 arrives, the day heaven has chosen to reveal its pleasure, you will feel it not in fireworks or thunder, but in a deep inner knowing. A calm joy will fill you, and everything inside will whisper, "This is the moment He smiled." The smile of God will rest upon you like morning light, soft but unstoppable, gentle yet powerful enough to change everything it touches within and around you. In that moment, you will finally understand that obedience was never loss. It was the bridge that carried you straight into divine delight. Chosen one. When heaven prepares to release blessing, the enemy always releases distraction. The greater the promise, the louder the noise becomes. It is not coincidence that, as you near your appointed day, new frustrations have surfaced. Old wounds have tried to reopen, and unexpected pressures have surrounded you. This is the enemy's final attempt to derail what heaven has already decided. Do not be deceived. Darkness does not attack what it does not fear. The sudden rise of confusion, the return of doubt, the weariness that seems to appear out of nowhere, these are not signs of weakness, they are confirmations of proximity. You are close to fulfillment, closer than you realize. And when you are close, distraction becomes the enemy's sharpest weapon. He wants your focus, because focus is faith in motion. If he can capture your attention, he can corrupt your perception. And if your perception shifts, obedience begins to waver. But you must stand firm, refusing to trade divine alignment for momentary relief. Heaven has not brought you this far for you to stumble at the threshold. According to what is revealed in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 11, put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. That is not metaphor, it is instruction. You must be clothed in awareness, guarded in thought, and grounded in truth. The enemy does not fear noise, he fears focus. He cannot stand before a believer who knows who they are. That is why he tries to make you question your identity. He whispers lies disguised as logic, trying to convince you that obedience was wasted, that faith was foolish, that God has forgotten. But remember this, truth deception loses power when you remain anchored in God's word. The word is your shield, truth is your weapon. Every time you choose stillness over panic, you disarm his plan. Every time you answer temptation with scripture, you pierce the darkness with light. Chosen one. The enemy studies patterns. He knows your history. He knows which wounds still ache, which memories still echo. That is why he brings them up now, right before the reward. But what he doesn't understand is that the pain that once broke you has become your armor. You no longer bleed from those wounds. You shine through them. What used to hurt you now humbles you. What used to tempt you now trains you. Heaven's strategy is always superior. God allows the enemy to reveal himself so that you can recognize what no longer belongs. The conflict you face now is not random. It's a divine mirror showing you how much you've grown. The same storm that once terrified you cannot move you anymore. The fear that once ruled your nights now bows to your peace. Every chosen soul must face this final distraction, the test before the triumph. It often appears as chaos, as noise, as sudden exhaustion. But those who endure it without turning back step into unshakable faith. You are in that very test right now. The closer heaven's release comes, the more the enemy will fight to confuse your sight. Do not react. Observe. The enemy thrives on reaction, but he collapses under revelation. You know too much truth to be deceived now. You've seen too much grace to go back. Even in this moment, heaven is closer than the distraction trying to pull you away. Chosen one, strengthen your gaze. Look beyond the frustration of today and see the fulfillment that awaits. The storm is loud only because it is temporary. The enemy makes noise when he's losing ground. Every distraction you resist becomes an altar of victory. Every time you choose focus over fear, you send a message to the unseen world. I know what I'm carrying, and I will not drop it. There is peace waiting on the other side of this noise. There is reward hidden behind this resistance. The enemy cannot curse what God has crowned, but he will try to make you doubt your crown. Stand still. Do not move out of impatience. Heaven's clock is exact. Divine timing never stumbles. Soon, the distractions will fade. The noise will die down. The false urgency will crumble under the weight of divine calm. You will see clearly again, realizing that nothing was lost, only tested. Heaven allows pressure not to break you, but to prove you. And when the testing ends, clarity will return like dawn after a long night. You will see the pieces align, the confusion dissolve, and the light reveal what was hidden all along. Then you will understand why the enemy fought so hard. It was because the blessing was closer than ever. Stay focused. Chosen one, the darkness is making its last attempt. Heaven is already smiling. The only thing left is for you to keep walking. Eyes fixed, heart steady, until the day the promise unfolds before you. Chosen one. In every story of faith, there comes a moment when words no longer suffice, only surrender does. You have reached that place. The journey has refined you. The fire has purified you. Now, heaven listens not for your explanations, but for your agreement. The next move of God in your life depends not on your strength, but on your willingness to say one phrase that shifts eternity. Yes, Lord. Obedience is not about control, it is about communion. When you say yes to God, you open a door that no man can close. You allow heaven's design to unfold unhindered through your life. That yes is power disguised as submission. It is the key that unlocks peace, provision, and divine direction. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 19, verse 5. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, Then, out of all nations, you will be my treasured possession. You are that possession rare, refined, and radiant. You were not created for chaos, you were shaped for covenant. Heaven's favor doesn't visit where rebellion lives, but where obedience abides. That is why your spirit has been restless until it found alignment. You are not simply obeying commands, you are answering a call that your soul has known since before birth. When you whisper, "Yes, Lord," creation responds, the winds shift, the ground steadies, and angels move. Your yes carries the weight of agreement with heaven's will. Every miracle begins there, not with striving, but with surrender. The great battles of your past were never won by force. They were won the moment you yielded. Chosen one. Understand, this obedience is not weakness, it is wisdom. The proud resist and remain bound, but the humble yield and are lifted. You have spent too long questioning the why. Now is the time to embrace the what. The moment you say yes without full understanding is the moment you step into divine unfolding. Faith begins where logic ends. When you say yes, fear loses authority. Doubt's voice fades. The confusion that once clouded your mind clears, and you begin to move in rhythm with heaven. It's as if the air itself lightens around you. That's what happens when alignment takes hold. Heaven breathes through your obedience. Every time you delayed, heaven waited. God never withdrew his promise. He waited for your yes. The delay wasn't punishment. It was preparation for maturity. He was waiting until your yes came from conviction, not emotion. And now, heaven leans in again, waiting for that sacred response. Your yes does not have to be loud, it simply has to be real. It can come in a whisper, a tear, a breath. Heaven does not measure the volume, it measures the truth behind it. When your heart finally yields, the atmosphere shifts. Chains that have lingered for years begin to loosen because obedience changes everything. There will always be reasons to hesitate: fear of failure, the unknown, the cost. But you must remember, the cost of disobedience is always greater. Every no delays purpose. Every yes draws you closer to promise. The longer you resist, the heavier the burden becomes. The moment you surrender, the weight lifts and peace returns. Chosen one, your obedience is not only about you, it is about what comes after you. Your yes will echo through generations. It will break curses, release healing, and open doors for others who walk your path. The miracle you seek is hidden inside your surrender. Now, as heaven watches, take your place. Stand in stillness. Let your soul respond. If your spirit feels the tug, type "I yield." Write it as a declaration, not a demand. It is your covenant phrase, your personal confirmation that the waiting season is ending and the walking season has begun. Every time you say, "I yield," the heavens hear obedience louder than any sermon. It is the sound that moves eternity. You were never meant to battle for control, you were meant to rest in trust. Yielding is not quitting, it is trusting the one who never fails. So, speak it, write it, mean it. Let heaven hear your heart. Whisper what your faith already knows: "I yield." When you type "I yield," you are doing more than writing words. You are stepping into agreement with heaven. It is your way of saying, "I release my need to control. I trust the divine plan." That phrase becomes your spiritual signature of surrender, an echo of peace in the unseen realm. Each letter holds power. I yield tells the universe that you no longer fight against timing, against growth, or against process. It means you allow God to lead, even through uncertainty. Heaven reads those words as alignment, your spirit finally resting where it belongs. So let your comment be worship, not ritual. I yield is the language of faith matured, the anthem of a soul that has found its anchor. Heaven hears it. Angels move upon it, and peace descends where striving once lived. Chosen one, your obedience has not gone unnoticed. In heaven's courts, your name carries a fragrance, the scent of endurance, humility, and quiet strength. The sound of your prayers still echoes in the chambers of eternity, and every whisper of faith has become music before the throne. When you obeyed, even when you did not understand, you wrote a symphony in heaven's language, and now the melody is reaching its crescendo. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 6, He will make your righteousness shine like the dawn, the justice of your cause like the noonday sun. This is the promise unfolding before you. What was hidden is about to be illuminated. The quiet faith that no one saw will now become visible light. You are stepping into a season of divine exposure, not to boast, but to reflect the brilliance of God's faithfulness. The light that once seemed far away is now rising from within you. Your obedience has drawn heaven's attention, and that attention draws favor. But remember, favor is not about status, it is about purpose. God does not bless you so you can shine alone. He blesses you so His glory can be seen through you. The dawn of your obedience will light paths for others still walking in the dark. Think of it, every tear, every prayer, every night you wondered if obedience was worth it, all of it has become oil for your lamp. That oil will now fuel your visibility. The waiting, the wilderness, the silence, they were never wasted. They were distilling your light into something pure. Heaven does not rush perfection, it refines it. That's why it took time. The masterpiece of your obedience was not meant to be unveiled prematurely. God waited until your character could carry the blessing. Now that time has come, you will begin to see doors open with grace, relationships restored with ease, and opportunities aligning naturally. The ground you once watered with tears will soon bloom in joy. Chosen one, this is not about being noticed, it's about being seen. When heaven shines through you, people don't just see your success, they sense His presence. You become a living invitation to hope, a walking reflection of divine goodness. That is why the next step of your journey is sacred. It is no longer just about receiving the word, it is about carrying it forward. So when your heart feels stirred, let that stirring become movement. You don't need instructions, you need intention. When something within you whispers, I want others to feel this light, let it become a quiet act of generosity. Press the heart, not as routine, but as reverence, like lighting a candle on an altar, saying, I believe in this light. Then, if the message has touched your spirit, share the message. Picture it not as a click, but as releasing a dove from your hands. Each share is a seed of encouragement sent into the winds of destiny, carrying hope to souls you may never meet. You never know whose breaking point your obedience might heal. And if you sense the pull to remain connected, to walk alongside others chosen for this divine alignment, then quietly, without pressure, subscribe. Imagine it as stepping into a circle of light, joining a community of hearts beating to the same rhythm of obedience. It's not about numbers, it's about nurture. It's a decision to grow where the presence of God continues to speak. You see, heaven does not coerce, it invites. The Spirit never demands, it draws. And every response you make in freedom becomes worship. So when you press, share, or stay, do it as a sacred offering, not an obligation. Let every gesture become your whisper to heaven, I'm still here. I still believe. This is the beauty of divine participation. It's not commanded. It's inspired. You act not from duty, but from delight. You engage not because you must, but because something in you longs to echo what heaven is already doing. Chosen one, your obedience has become a torch. Others will find their way by the light it gives. You are part of something greater than algorithms and words. You are part of heaven's ongoing story. Let every small act of agreement, every moment of engagement, become another note in heaven's song of your faith. For as your righteousness shines like the dawn, and your obedience becomes light to the world, you will finally see that all of this, every act, every surrender, every quiet response was heaven teaching you how to glow. When you move with that kind of light, even silence becomes worship. Every heartbeat becomes a hymn. Every gesture, a prayer. Heaven does not overlook those who carry light. It expands their reach, multiplying their quiet obedience into ripples of eternal impact. You are no longer just following the word. You have become its living reflection. The same grace that once found you now flows through you. Wherever your light travels, healing follows, hope awakens, and heaven smiles again because obedience has turned into glory. Chosen one, this is the season of emergence. The time of being hidden has accomplished its work. What God planted in silence is now ready to rise in strength. You may not feel different, but heaven knows the shift has already occurred. The unseen has ripened, the invisible has matured. What was once private preparation is becoming public purpose. You are part of a generation rising from the wilderness, not broken, but refined. This rising is not loud, it is steady. It is not built on pride, but on purity. Heaven is summoning the marked ones, those who chose obedience when compromise was easier. You are among them. You are not called to blend into this world. You are designed to transform it. The ancient words recorded in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, declare, arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. That command is not a suggestion, it is a revelation. You are being called out of dimness into destiny. The light you carry is not borrowed, it is born of the Spirit within you. Heaven has entrusted you with its radiance because you endured what others escaped. You are rising, not for recognition, but for restoration, to rebuild what was ruined, to reignite what was lost. This rising is collective. Heaven is aligning hearts across the earth. People who have been refined in private are about to be revealed in power. You will begin to recognize them, those whose eyes carry fire and whose words carry peace. They are not perfect, but they are purified. Their hands carry healing, their voices carry hope. You are one of them, the chosen generation that will not bow to fear or fame. You have been marked for this moment. Heaven did not preserve you through storms just to hide you in shadows. The purpose of your pain was preparation. The wounds you thought disqualified, you have become windows for God's glory to shine through. The light leaking from your scars is proof that you survived without bitterness. That is why you carry authority now, the authority of one who knows that grace is real. Chosen one, do not shrink back. The world needs your light. You have been silent long enough, doubting your worth, measuring your potential by human standards. But heaven sees differently. The fire in you was never meant to stay contained. It was meant to burn in dark spaces, to illuminate hearts still caught between despair and destiny. This is not a season to chase applause. The chosen do not perform, they transform. You are being called to live boldly, to love fearlessly, to serve faithfully. Your presence alone will shift the atmosphere, not because of charisma, but because of character. People will sense something holy about your calm, something eternal in your eyes. That's what it means to be marked. You carry heaven's peace into earth's pressure. The rise of the marked ones is not about position, it's about posture. They kneel before they stand. They worship before they speak. They forgive before they lead. Their power comes from humility, their strength from surrender. And because of that, God can trust them with influence that cannot corrupt. You, too, are learning this sacred balance, how to stand tall but stay low, how to shine brightly but never boast, how to lead without losing tenderness. This is the secret language of the chosen: humility that glows, love that endures, courage that kneels. Every challenge that once threatened to destroy you has become your training ground. Every betrayal, every loss, every delay, it all forged resilience in your spirit. Heaven watched as you refused to curse the fire. And now the fire serves you. It refines you without consuming you. You have become unburnable. When heaven calls the marked ones to rise, it is not a trumpet of pride, it is a whisper of destiny. You will not need to announce yourself. Your presence will speak. Opportunities will find you because obedience already introduced you to heaven's favor. Chosen one, this is the awakening. The silence of your waiting has birthed a roar of purpose. Walk forward, knowing that you do not rise alone. Heaven rises with you. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is the power lifting you now. You are stepping into the fullness of who you were always meant to be, a reflection of divine glory, a vessel of unshakable peace, a messenger of eternal light. You are part of heaven's great unveiling. The world is about to see what obedience has been building all along. So lift your head, steady your heart, and let your light rise. Heaven's glory is already upon you. You are not rising to prove your worth. You are rising because heaven has already confirmed it. Every breath you take now carries the fragrance of divine purpose fulfilled. Walk in that awareness. The same light that called you forth will sustain you. Wherever you go, heaven follows, turning ordinary ground into sacred testimony. Chosen one, heaven communicates in more than words. It speaks through patterns, signs, and symbols that appear like whispers along your path. When your spirit is awake, you begin to notice the repetition, the divine order that others dismiss as coincidence. Heaven does not repeat without reason. Repetition is revelation. You have reached a new stage of alignment. The air feels different around you because the atmosphere of your obedience has changed. There is movement in the unseen confirmation that what you've been praying for is not just coming, it has already begun. Heaven's language now unfolds in your life through a new divine number, 333. We find in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 33, verse 3, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know." This is heaven's message to you. The number 333 represents revelation, communication, and divine clarity. It is heaven's signal that the veil between the seen and unseen is thinning, that you are stepping into a realm where prayer and response move in unison. When this number crosses your path, it is not random, it is a holy invitation. Call to me. Speak. I am listening. Chosen one. Your prayers have not been lost in silence. They have been collected in the bowls of heaven, waiting for divine timing. 333 is heaven's confirmation that the time to pour them out has come. The answers you thought were delayed are being released in waves. You may not see it all at once, but the ripple has already begun. This number also carries the symbol of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Spirit moving in harmony over your life. 3 strands of divine purpose intertwining, securing your steps, ensuring that what begins in grace ends in glory. The Father establishes the plan, the Son redeems the past, and the Spirit breathes life into the present. Together they form a divine circle of completion that cannot be broken. When 333 appears, it is heaven whispering, "You are not alone in this season." Every decision, every prayer, every moment of confusion is being wrapped in divine counsel. You are walking under guidance too detailed to fail. Even your detours are part of direction. Chosen one, pause and breathe. The presence of 333 around you is not meant to overwhelm, it's meant to awaken. It's heaven reminding you that intimacy with God is your greatest inheritance. He is calling you to deeper conversation, to open dialogue, to divine partnership. He doesn't want your routine, he wants your response. When you see this number, stop and speak. Whisper a prayer, even a small one. Say, "Lord, I hear you." That acknowledgement opens the gates of revelation. God is not trying to hide, he is trying to be heard. And those who recognize his call never walk in confusion again. This is also a number of reassurance. For too long, you've carried questions. Was it worth it? Did heaven really notice? Am I still on the right path? The answer, written across heaven's timing, is yes. 333 means heaven has aligned with your obedience. You are right where you are meant to be. Every time you see it on a clock, a page, a sign, let it anchor your faith. It's not superstition, it's synchronization. Heaven is echoing your name, reminding you that revelation is unfolding in real time. You are in dialogue with destiny. So now, as you receive this divine confirmation, let your heart respond. In the comments below, type 333, not as ritual, but as recognition. You are saying, "I hear the call. I'm ready for revelation." This simple act becomes your echo back to heaven, a sign that the message has been received. When you write 333, it is a spiritual signal that your heart is tuned to divine frequency. It is your way of answering the call of Jeremiah 3:3. You are telling heaven, "Speak, Lord, I'm listening," and heaven always responds to a listening heart. Chosen one. This is not just another number, it is a divine conversation, and it has begun. When you type 333, you are answering heaven's invitation. It is your way of saying, I am awake. I hear you. I am ready. Those numbers are not random, they are coordinates of divine alignment. Each digit becomes a step toward deeper communion, marking your willingness to walk with heaven's rhythm. 333 also carries the weight of trust. When you write it, you are declaring that your ears are open, your heart is steady, and your faith is alive. It's not about numbers on a screen, it's about the unseen dialogue between your spirit and God's whisper. You are joining heaven's conversation. Let your comment be a response of faith, not formula. When you write 333, you create a bridge between your prayer and heaven's promise. It is an act of holy recognition, a symbol that revelation has found you, and your obedience has made space for new wisdom to pour in. Chosen one. The fire that has surrounded you was never meant to destroy, it was meant to define. Every chosen vessel must pass through refining before being released. What you have endured was not punishment, it was purification. Heaven never sends fire to burn identity, only to remove impurity. And though you felt the heat of trial, you now carry the glow of endurance. The Word of God declares in the book of Zechariah, chapter 13, verse 9, I will put this third into the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. That is what has been happening to you. The fire has been answering the question of your faith, not whether you believe in God, but whether you trust Him when He is silent, when the promise delays, when your heart breaks. Fire exposes what cannot remain and strengthens what must. You have learned that obedience forged in comfort is shallow, but obedience forged in fire endures forever. Chosen one. The intensity of your recent trials was not a sign of rejection, it was evidence of refinement. God trusted you enough to test you. He allowed the flames to rise because He knew what was hidden inside you could not be destroyed. Gold does not fear the furnace because it knows fire only reveals its true worth. The seasons you thought were your end were actually your making. The betrayal, the loneliness, the unanswered prayers, all were tools in heaven's workshop. You were being shaped, molded, purified until your reflection matched His. Every disappointment stripped away dependence on what could not sustain you. Every heartbreak expanded your capacity to love without condition. Every delay taught your spirit the rhythm of divine timing. In the beginning, you prayed for deliverance. Now, you understand that deliverance sometimes comes disguised as discipline. The fire has become your teacher, and its lessons have made you unshakable. You no longer fear loss because you have learned that God is enough. You no longer seek approval because heaven's smile is your reward. You no longer chase signs because peace has become your compass. Refinement is not glamorous, it is sacred. It happens in secret, in tears, in quiet acts of surrender. It is the moment you stop fighting the process and begin to trust the purpose. The fire doesn't ask for your permission, it asks for your perseverance. And you gave it. You stayed when it would have been easier to walk away. You believed when others called you foolish. You kept showing up. Not because you understood, but because you trusted. That is why heaven calls you gold. Every spark that once burned you has become a light that guides others. People will soon see the strength in your calm, the peace in your eyes, and wonder how you survived. They won't realize that your survival was not survival at all. It was transformation. You didn't just make it through the fire, you became it. You carry warmth where others carry wounds. You bring light where others bring noise. The refining fire has also burned away fear. You no longer live with the anxiety of the unknown. You have seen that even in the flames, God stands beside you. He was not absent in your pain, he was present as your preservation. Like the 3 Hebrew men in Babylon, you walked through the furnace and discovered there was another in the fire, one whose presence turned pain into testimony. Chosen one. Your scars are not signs of shame, they are marks of mastery. They tell heaven's story written through your endurance. You carry evidence of survival, but more importantly, evidence of sanctification. When you speak now, your words carry weight because they've been baptized in fire. Your faith no longer trembles, it commands. This is the hidden beauty of refinement when the process ends. Nothing external changes first. Something eternal does. Your heart becomes still. Your eyes grow clear. You begin to discern light in places others only see shadow. You start to recognize pain as an invitation rather than an interruption. Heaven is preparing to entrust you with more because you have proven faithful in fire. What you have endured has expanded your capacity to carry glory. The heat that once terrified you has trained you for greater authority. You can now walk through storms and stay calm because you no longer depend on calm weather to feel safe. Chosen one. Never resent the fire again. It made you who you are. It burned away pride, purified your motives, and forged your spirit into something unbreakable. You are no longer fragile faith, you are refined faith. And refined faith does not crumble, it conquers. So walk forward with gratitude. Thank the fire for what it revealed. Thank the pain for what it produced. You have come through what was meant to consume you, and you are shining because of it. Heaven has completed its refining work. And now the world will see the radiance of one who has walked through fire and come out glowing. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every story of faith when the locked doors begin to tremble. It doesn't always happen with sound or spectacle. Sometimes it begins with stillness, the quiet realization that something has shifted in the atmosphere. You've been knocking, praying, waiting, and believing through the long hallway of silence. But now, the hinges are moving. The season of striving is turning into the season of opening. What you thought was delay was divine design. Heaven doesn't open doors to impress, it opens them to align. The waiting was never meant to punish you, but to position you. Some doors stayed closed because you weren't yet standing in the right strength to walk through them. Others stayed shut because what waited beyond them wasn't ready for your arrival. But heaven has perfect timing. And now that time has come, the apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 16, verse 9, because a great door for effective work has opened to me, and there are many who oppose me. Every great door comes with resistance. That is how you know it's divine. The enemy does not guard what has no value. Every time you faced sudden obstacles after obedience, it wasn't rejection, it was confirmation. Darkness does not fight what is irrelevant, it fights what is anointed. And your obedience has drawn heaven's attention and hell's resistance simultaneously. Yet, what stands against you cannot outlast what stands within you. Chosen one. The locks that once held you in place are breaking. The doors that refuse to budge now recognize your authority. It's not that the doors have changed, it's that you have. The fire refined you. The silence matured you. And now your spirit carries a key: obedience. Obedience opens what effort could not. The strength you have gained in surrender is the strength that opens impossible gates. You have learned how to wait without bitterness, how to move without panic, and how to trust without proof. These lessons have become your keys. Heaven never gives keys to hurried hearts, only to humble ones. That's why the unlocking happens now, because you can be trusted with what's beyond. When doors open by heaven's hand, they require no striving. They swing on hinges oiled with peace. Opportunities begin to appear naturally. People begin to notice you without promotion. And solutions begin to find you before you even ask. That is what divine favor looks like. It doesn't force, it flows. You will recognize these new openings because they will come with clarity, not confusion. They will bring peace, not pressure. The wrong doors always demanded that you diminish yourself to fit through. The right ones will require you to stand tall, to walk in your full light. You won't have to beg, perform, or pretend. When heaven opens a door, it already knows your name. Some of these doors will not just lead to opportunity, they will lead to restoration. Relationships that once ended in pain will return for redemption, not repetition. Resources you thought were lost will circle back in unexpected ways. Even dreams you buried will begin to breathe again. The sound you will hear is not the echo of the past closing, it's the melody of destiny unfolding. Chosen one. Walk through gently but boldly. Don't rush, but don't hesitate either. The door doesn't stay open forever, it stays open for faith. When you cross that threshold, you will feel it, the peace of alignment, the confirmation of purpose, the whisper that says, "This was worth the wait." And when you step through, remember the doors that open for you are not just for you. They are gateways for others who will follow. Your obedience has built a bridge between generations. The blessing you are about to walk into will outlive your name. This is what heaven meant all along. The long nights, the endless waiting, the moments of silence, they were all building this moment of release. You were never locked out, you were being aligned. Now, every obstacle that stood against you begins to dissolve under divine timing. The walls that once blocked you are becoming windows of revelation. You are walking into spaces that were once beyond your reach, carrying the authority that only comes from endurance. Chosen one. This is your season of open doors. Step through them with peace in your heart and gratitude in your soul. The same God who brought you to the door will guide you through it. And once you're on the other side, you'll finally understand obedience was the key all along. Every open door now carries heaven's fingerprints. You will sense his presence in the smallest details. In divine timing, too perfect to explain. What once felt impossible will unfold naturally beneath your steady faith. Walk forward without fear. The same hand that unlocked these doors will hold them steady for you. Each step is sanctified. Each threshold a reminder that divine alignment never fails. Chosen one. Heaven celebrates differently than the world. Earth claps for achievements, but heaven applauds obedience. When heaven smiles, it is not for performance, it is for persistence. Every moment you remained faithful when it would have been easier to quit. has become applause in the unseen realm. You may not hear it yet, but the angels are already standing. You have reached a sacred turning point. The long stretch of hidden labor is over. The season of silent sowing gives way to the sound of harvest. The moment heaven's smile turns into motion, favor begins to move. Restoration begins to ripple, and your story begins to sing. It is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 100, verse 5. For the Lord is good, and his love endures forever. His faithfulness continues through all generations. That is what heaven is declaring over you now, faithfulness that echoes through generations. You have become living proof that God keeps his word. His goodness is no longer an idea to you, it is your daily experience. You are standing where others fell, believing where others gave up, praising where others grew silent. Heaven's applause is for that endurance, that quiet strength that only grace could have built. In this holy moment, the celebration of heaven surrounds you. The air feels lighter, the atmosphere gentler, because joy has found its rightful place in your story. The Father rejoices over you not because of what you have accomplished, but because you have remained. His delight rests upon your spirit like sunlight breaking through morning mist. Heaven's applause is invisible, but real. It comes as peace in the places that once felt restless, as clarity where confusion once lived, as strength where weariness once dwelled. The celebration of heaven doesn't sound like noise, it feels like stillness. It is the kind of joy that does not shout, it shines. Chosen one, you are now called to reflect that same joy outward. The light you carry was never meant to stay contained. It is a torch meant to ignite hope in others still walking through their own night. You are a living message, a testimony written by endurance and signed by grace. So when your heart feels moved, let that movement become action, not from pressure, but from peace, not from duty, but from delight. Let your gratitude take form. Press the heart, not as habit, but as harmony, like placing your palm on heaven's rhythm, whispering, I feel the joy too. And if the words in this message have touched a place deep within you, if you sense heaven's music echoing in your own chest, share the message. Picture it not as promotion, but as participation, like passing a candle to another soul still reaching for light. You are carrying heaven's warmth into their waiting. Finally, if your spirit desires to stay near this flow of divine conversation, to keep walking beside voices that remind you of heaven's language, then gently, freely, subscribe. See it as stepping into a circle of light, joining a quiet fellowship of hearts that choose obedience over applause and presence over performance. Do not do it because you are told to. Do it only if your heart leans forward in agreement. Let it be your silent Amen. Heaven treasures such choices, the kind made freely, the kind born of peace. When you like, it is as though you've added one more note to heaven's song. When you share, you're letting that song travel beyond your walls. And when you subscribe, you're saying, I want to keep hearing this melody of faith. It's not transaction, it's transformation. And if something in this word awakens a quiet gratitude in you, let it breathe into words below. Leave a comment. Even a single line, like placing a small stone of remembrance on sacred ground. Your reflection becomes part of the living testimony heaven is still writing. Because heaven's applause is not just for what you've done, it's for who you've become. You are the evidence that grace wins, that faith endures, that obedience shines, Every small gesture of your agreement, every silent act of connection is another echo in heaven's celebration. Chosen one. The applause of heaven will not fade. It will follow you into every room, every decision, every dawn. You are the sound of heaven's joy in human form. And as you move forward, the world will begin to hear it too, through your peace, through your presence, through your quiet yes. Heaven's joy does not end when the music fades. It lives in the rhythm of your steps. Every choice made in faith becomes another verse in the song only heaven can hear. The applause above echoes softly within you now. It's not the noise of crowds, but the pulse of peace that follows obedience. You are walking in divine harmony. Carry this melody wherever you go. Let every breath remind you that you are celebrated, seen, and still being sung over by the God who delights in your faith. Chosen one. Heaven has begun to crown you not with gold or jewels, but with glory. This is not the shallow recognition the world gives. It is divine acknowledgement. The crown you carry cannot be seen by human eyes, yet the spirit world bows before it. It is made of obedience, humility, endurance, and faith. You did not win it through striving. You received it through surrender. Every test, every tear, every trial was shaping this invisible crown. When you chose peace instead of panic, love instead of bitterness, and trust instead of doubt, heaven added another jewel to your unseen diadem. The process was painful, but it was purposeful. The waiting wasn't wasted. It was weaving honor around your spirit. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 10, "Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." This is the blessing that now rests upon you. You have been ridiculed for your righteousness, misunderstood for your obedience, and rejected for your faith, but heaven saw it all. The crown you wear now is not the prize of the proud. It is the inheritance of the faithful. It is heaven's way of saying, you did not bow to fear, and now you will stand in glory. Chosen one. Your crown carries memory. Every gem within it reflects a moment you said yes when you could have walked away. Each shimmer is a prayer you whispered in faith. Each curve is carved by grace that carried you when strength failed. You wear not just victory, you wear story. And the story you carry now is sacred. You are being adorned for assignment. This crown is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of divine authority. Heaven does not crown for comfort. It crowns for calling. When the Father places honor upon your spirit, it is to mark you as one who can walk among the weary and lift them, who can speak light into shadows without losing balance. This moment in your life marks transition, the move from being refined to being revealed, from carrying promises to carrying purpose. The glory that now rests on you is not loud, it is luminous. It does not demand attention, it commands peace. Wherever you go, people will begin to feel the quiet gravity of heaven moving with you. You have walked through years where your identity was questioned and your worth misunderstood. But this crown removes every doubt. It is heaven's declaration that your story was never wasted. The pain that once made you question yourself has become the gold of divine strength. You are not who you were when the fire began. You are who you were always meant to be. Chosen one. Do not bow your head in false humility. Wear your crown with reverence. This is not arrogance, it is acknowledgement. The King himself has chosen to honor your endurance. You are not boasting in yourself, You are bearing witness to his faithfulness. The weight of the crown is light because it was shaped by grace, not ego. As you move forward, understand that crowns carry responsibility. Those who are crowned are called to intercede for others, to walk with compassion, to love without limits. The glory upon you is meant to overflow into others' healing. The same light that lifted you will now shine through you. You are heaven's vessel of hope. Do not fear the visibility that comes with this season. God will not expose you before he establishes you. What he is revealing now is not your name, but his nature in you. You will walk into spaces that once felt beyond your reach, and you will do it with quiet confidence, knowing that you are not promoting yourself, you are carrying his presence. This crown cannot tarnish, because it was forged in eternal fire. It is not borrowed, and it cannot be stolen. The enemy may try to distract you, but he cannot dethrone you. What God places upon you is secure. It does not rest on performance, it rests on promise. Chosen one. The world may not see your crown, but heaven does. Angels recognize it. Favor responds to it, and peace surrounds it. Every step you take now leaves the imprint of royalty, not the royalty of this world, but the majesty of divine grace. Lift your head, not in pride, but in praise, for the one who crowned you is faithful. The story that once carried sorrow now shines with strength. And as you walk crowned with glory, you become what heaven always intended, a living reflection of divine honor on earth. The crown you carry is not decoration, it is declaration. It speaks silently to darkness that you have already overcome, that grace reigns where pain once ruled, that heaven's authority lives in you. Walk gently beneath its weight. Let humility be its polish and compassion its sparkle. Every step you take now radiates the quiet majesty of divine victory. Chosen one. The story now reaches the moment that heaven wrote long before you were born, the moment when obedience turns into overflow. This is the appointed day when heaven's smile becomes tangible, when promises take form, when destiny stops whispering and begins to speak. Everything you've walked through, every storm, every silence, every test has been leading here. December 15 is not just a date, it is divine confirmation. You may not see fireworks in the sky, but you will feel something holy shifting within you. The air itself will seem clearer, the weight on your chest lighter, the noise of confusion replaced by calm. It will not come with chaos, but with clarity. The voice of heaven will not shout. It will settle in your heart like sunlight after rain. The Word of God declares in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it lingers, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." That appointed time has arrived. The waiting has not been wasted. Every moment of endurance has aligned with heaven's timing, and now the revelation begins to manifest. You will sense it first in your spirit, a peace that cannot be explained, a stillness that feels like the world has exhaled. It is the signal that heaven has completed what it began. Chosen one. This is the day God smiles at your obedience. His smile is not an abstract image, it is the reality of divine favor meeting human faith. It will appear in subtle ways, a door opening easily, a long-lost opportunity returning, a heart once closed suddenly understanding. These are the gentle expressions of divine delight. Heaven is saying, I saw you when no one else did, and now I will show you what I was preparing all along. You will begin to notice how the pieces fit together. The delays that once hurt you now make sense. The prayers that seemed unanswered now appear perfectly timed. The divine tapestry you could only see from the back now turns, revealing beauty in every thread. The smile of God is that moment of revelation when you realize none of it was random. This smile also marks a transition. You are moving from survival to significance. Obedience was the seed. Now manifestation is the fruit. Heaven's joy rests upon your spirit like a gentle crown of peace. You will walk lighter because you no longer carry the weight of wondering. Faith has finished its work. You are entering rest. Not inactivity, but divine rhythm working from peace. Not for peace. There will be quiet confirmations all around you. Conversations that affirm what your spirit already knows. Doors that open without knocking. Moments where you sense invisible applause. Heaven celebrates in silence. It does not need spectacle because truth itself is glory. You will not have to announce this shift. It will be seen in your calm, heard in your tone, and felt in your presence. Chosen one, you have come through the refining, the waiting, the warfare, and the wonder. You have proven trustworthy with revelation, steady under fire, and faithful in obscurity. Now God entrusts you with visibility, not for vanity, but for victory. You are not being promoted by men, you are being positioned by heaven. This day, this exact day, is the marker in eternity that says, the promise has matured. From here, your journey will not grow easier, but it will grow clearer. You will no longer chase what belongs to you, it will find you. Heaven's smile establishes your season of fulfillment. Do not rush to capture it, simply dwell in it. Sit with the realization that the God who guided you through storms now calls you his delight. Feel that peace settle into your bones, the kind of peace that doesn't need explanation, the kind that stays. You are standing in the glow of answered prayer. Every seed of obedience has bloomed. Every tear has watered blessing. The smile of God has turned your endurance into evidence, your waiting into witness. You are not who you were when this began. You are what heaven saw when it first called you chosen. Let your heart rest here. In this quiet moment of arrival, you have not reached the end, you have reached the beginning of divine ease. The work continues, but now it flows with grace. The weight is gone. The striving has ended. The smile remains. Chosen one. December 15 is the seal upon your faith. The day heaven bends close and whispers, well done. From this moment forward, walk as one approved, appointed, and anointed. The smile of God is your atmosphere now. Live within it. Breathe it, and let it light every path ahead. This is the peace you were promised, the holy stillness after the storm. Every breath now carries divine assurance. You are seen, you are favored, and heaven's smile will never fade from you again. Chosen one, the story has come full circle, but heaven's voice continues. What you've just walked through in these words is not merely reflection, it is recognition. You have seen how obedience becomes transformation, how silence turns to song, how faith becomes fulfillment. Heaven has smiled, and that smile still rests upon you. Now, as this message settles into your spirit, let gratitude find its shape. Let it flow as movement, not because you must, but because you may. Press the heart, not for applause, but as acknowledgement, your quiet way of saying, I receive this peace. That small action is worship in motion, a gentle echo of heaven's joy through your fingertips. If these words have stirred something deep within you, if they reminded you that light always returns to those who wait faithfully, share the message. Think of it as releasing a beam of hope across unseen distances. Somewhere, someone sits where you once sat in silence, in doubt, in waiting, and your act of sharing might be the bridge that leads them into belief again. And if your spirit wishes to remain close to this flow of divine conversation, where every word carries light and every story reminds you that you are chosen, then, softly, freely, subscribe, not as routine, but as relationship. It is your way of saying, I want to keep walking where the presence lingers. Finally, when all becomes still, leave a comment below. It doesn't have to be long, just a reflection, a whisper, a fragment of gratitude. Your words become part of this living testimony. Weaving your voice into the tapestry of countless others, heaven is still touching through obedience. You are part of something eternal now. Your story shines. Your faith breathes. Your obedience continues to speak, and heaven listens.